Oh, there it is. Good morning. Oh, finally that card came up. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I am pretty darn close to being ready, but it ain't perfect yet. Let me see if I can at least shift to some video. Okay. Ta-da. I had a countdown and a bunch of other stuff happening, but yeah, it didn't fix the problem I was hoping to fix.
Okay.
All right, lesson 37. My holiness blesses the world. My holiness blesses the world. This idea that my holiness blesses the world contains the first glimmerings of your true function in the world, or at least why you're here. Your purpose is to see the world through your own holiness. Thus are you and the world blessed together. When your purpose is to see the world through your own holiness, no one loses. Nothing is taken away from anyone. Everyone gains through your holy vision, because you and the world are blessed together. When your purpose is to see the world through your own holiness, it signifies the end of sacrifice, because your holiness offers everyone his full due, and he is entitled to everything, because the holiness of everything is his birthright as a son of God, or daughter of God, or whatever. I jumped right in and didn't even say good morning to anybody. I hit the ground running. So I'm going to pause for just a moment and say, happy Sunday morning, everybody. It's February 6th. We got snow on the ground up here. I hope you guys are warm wherever you are and having a wonderful Sunday in front of you. I'll pause long enough to take a sip of coffee and wet my whistle before I go on. If anybody wants to say hi.
Good morning, everybody. Happy to be here.
Good morning, everyone. Happy
Good
Sunday.
morning. Yeah, but we're going to go for 8 hours today. Marathon.
Only God knows. Only God knows.
That's right. Maybe we can just learn it all more quickly.
We can. Thanks, everybody. All right. There are enough people up on the stage that, if you don't mind, By a show of mic taps, do you want me to start this over from the beginning so I can read the whole way through? Or should I just keep going? What do you guys think? Oh, I didn't say which one is which. All right, tap your mic a couple of times if you want me to start from the beginning. How about that? Thanks, Janine. That's all I needed to hear. Yours was the only answer I cared about
And
anyway.
and I want
I'm
to be
listening.
Yes, you are. Oh,
I want to be a
I
moderator.
sure, Papa. I started out this morning with a text message from my ex-girlfriend that felt like a blame, shame, and guilt game. And I've been kind of slowly praying and recovering from that. And honestly, jumping into this lesson the way I did probably was a part of that too. It's a function of the place I am and getting back to the place that I should be in order to read this stuff in the best way I can. All right. My holiness blesses the world. This idea that my holiness blesses the world contains the first glimmerings of your true function in the world, or why you're here. Your purpose is to see the world through your own holiness. Thus are you and the world blessed together. When your purpose is to see the world through your own holiness, no one loses. Nothing. Whoops. Would you mind turning your volume down just a little bit? No one loses. When your purpose is to see the world, there it is. When your purpose is to see the world through your own holiness, no one loses. Nothing is taken away from anyone. Everyone gains through your holy vision because you and the world are blessed together. When your purpose is to see the world through your own holiness, it signifies the end of sacrifice because your own holiness offers everyone his full due. When your purpose is to see the world through the eyes of God, it signifies the end of sacrifice because your holiness offers everyone else his full due, and he's entitled to all of that, everything, because the holiness of everything is his birthright as a son or daughter of God, as the Son to all of us in light. Because you and the world are blessed together, when you see the world through your own holiness, there is no other way in which the idea of sacrifice can be removed from the world's thinking. Seeing the world through your own holiness is the only way that will work. Any other way of seeing will inevitably demand payment of someone or something. As a result, the perceiver will lose something, nor will the perceiver have any idea why they're losing something. Yet the perceiver's wholeness is restored to their awareness through your vision. Your holiness blesses the perceiver by asking nothing of them. Those who see themselves as whole make no demands. Wow. Your holiness. Wow. Okay.
Say something, Lee.
I can't put it into words, Dad. But when you show up and you're whole and complete, and you know that you're there for somebody else, it becomes amazing, kind of a mirror that you can hold up for them. The projections go away. You get to help them remove their projections. It's truly wonderful. Your
I
holiness is
think
the salvation of the world. Your Holiness, go ahead, Dad. What do you want to say?
This particular paragraph
In the
is
public forum that everybody can
so.
hear, what do you want to say?
I think you can hear. Is this
We
not
can all
loud enough?
hear. Yes, we can all
Oh,
hear, but I want you to understand that my ex-wife can see this and everybody can see this, so I'm trying to be judicious as well.
that's fine.
Okay.
It's not even about you.
Oh, even better.
My point of this particular paragraph, and I have no doubt that Tom covers it in his notes, but I also feel the power of this paragraph, Lee, that it could be perceived by anyone as nothing but an ego trip. It is so clearly, easily perceived as an
The
ego
two
trip.
ends of this spectrum, right? It's definitely black
Yeah.
white in this case. Yes, yes.
And yet we're called upon to say, because we are holy, we have a vision, and we give this vision away to others, and they will hopefully see sooner rather than later that it's not an ego trip, that it's the blessings of holiness that we learn through the Course in Miracles. To me, it elevates the Course in Miracles just at least one more notch up, because it's so pure in its the way it's explained. I just wanted to say something and acknowledge why I thought you were also touched by it, because this is a difficult thing at first to accept, that because we're holy, this is the way it is. Okay,
I
I
get
can
where you're
stop
coming
now and
from, and
let's
I
move
guess
on.
for me, my
Yeah.
super obvious reason is that Adriana shows me this in a way that I've never seen before in my life. And that's absolutely mind-boggling at 50 to feel like I'm opening my eyes for the first time.
And
And
this just
go ahead, Dad.
in regards to holiness, remember, holiness isn't the religious connotation. It's that you're whole. Like Lee said, perfect, whole, and complete. So, just for those people coming on in and maybe thinking of holiness as,
Yeah.
blessed or something. I mean, it is that, but it's blessed because you're whole and you're part of that oneness of all that is. Thank
Yep.
you.
And yesterday's lesson said that explicitly, and today's doesn't, but you're absolutely right. And I think it helps to come back because our holiness heals the whole world. Our wholeness
Well,
heals the whole world.
although I can't walk on water, I did see some folks bicycling on water in the newest devices.
Yeah.
So, Jesus said that we would all do things as good as him or even better in some cases.
As
So
long as it gets
there's
As long
bicycling
as it
now.
gets cold enough, I can walk on water. All
That's
right.
true too.
Your holiness is the salvation of the world. Finally, on to paragraph 3. Hey, Rosa, welcome. Good morning. And welcome to everybody. I really appreciate you guys being here. I'm on the 3rd paragraph of our lesson. It's lesson 37 in our book, A Course in Miracles. My holiness blesses the world. Your holiness is the salvation of the world. Your holiness lets you teach the world that it is one with you, not by preaching to it, not by telling the world anything, but merely by your quiet recognition that in your holiness are all things blessed along with you. Today, 4 longer exercise periods, each to involve 3 to 5 minutes of practice. Begin with the repetition of the idea for today that my holiness blesses the world, followed by a minute or so of looking about you to apply the idea, whatever you see. My holiness blesses this chair. My holiness blesses that window. My holiness blesses this body. Then close your eyes and apply the idea that my holiness blesses the world to any person who occurs to you, using his or her name and saying, my holiness blesses you, Bobby, or Judy, or Peter, or whoever it happens to be. You may continue the practice period with your eyes closed. You may open your eyes again and apply the idea for today that my holiness blesses the world to your outer world if you desire. You may alternate between applying the idea that my holiness blesses the world to what you see around you and those who are in your thoughts. Or you can use any combination of these two phases of application that you prefer. The practice period should conclude with a repetition of the idea that my holiness blesses the world with your eyes closed, and another following immediately with your eyes open. The shorter exercises consist of repeating the idea that my holiness blesses the world as often as you can. It is particularly helpful to apply the idea silently to anyone you meet, using his name as you do so. It's essential to use the idea that my holiness blesses the world if anyone seems to cause an adverse reaction in you. Offer him the blessing of your holiness immediately, that you may learn to keep your holiness in your own awareness. Now that's the end of the lesson, and it's going to get personal because no matter what, that's just the way this works. If we want to be accurate, and if we want to be alive, and we want to learn, and we want to grow, we've got to take the lessons personally and know that everybody around us really just affords us a good mirror to point back to ourselves and see what we can take. So I'm going to go back a couple of paragraphs. Dad, if you want to say something, you can. But I'm going to go back a couple of paragraphs
I
to
do.
that second paragraph.
That'd be fine.
Okay.
It's interesting because if we accept this attitude that my holiness blesses you, whoever's in front of me, and we have the attitude to ourselves, that's one thing. Hopefully they feel it and everything's fine. But let's just say that somehow something we exude because of that belief and that acceptance of that truth comes across to them as something that is obnoxious. I'm just going to say it that way because it could. If they get that, what I said earlier is interesting because there's another part to it. What I said earlier was they're going to think, boy, is this son of a bitch egotistical. Okay. Now, having said that, here's the funny part. We have already learned that that other person is simply projecting his ego onto us. And that's the reason he's messed up, unfortunately. But if we hold to this and make sure in our own minds that we're not trying to be a holy person from X religion, that we know there's something about us that can help that person without forcing it on them, then, and in other words, we've checked our ego at the door is one way of putting it, then this is the perfect blessing because it's not said anywhere that I've ever heard of, and I could easily be wrong on this, for us to actually assume this and to hold it. And frankly, I would also add that it could be holy in any sense of any religious description if I wanted it to, if it was understood that it blesses anybody in front of me. So, to take this a step further, my father in 1947 and 48 raised millions of dollars for the return of Jewish people from their diaspora to Israel. I am now about to sign a contract to be involved with Liberia, helping Africans return from their diaspora to their homeland. Isn't this an interesting story? And yes, it is. I'll leave it at that and turn it over to others. Thanks.
I have something that I want to share right now about this lesson and what it's something like. It's so commonly that we have conflicts around us with people and with things, circumstances. But how I'm wondering how often, because this is a question that I made to myself recently, that how often do we allow ourselves to use the word God in our language, in our communication? I mean, we know that in the level of the mind, as we are students of this Course in Miracles, we are completely surrender to the idea that God exists and that God is always there and that we can tap into the Holy Spirit's notion in order for us to have some relief or some circumstances in other perspective. But in the real language, when you're speaking with somebody that is not a Course in Miracles student, how often do you let yourself like use the word blessings or God when you're answering somebody's attack? I mean, if somebody attacks you in some way, like if he's giving you a bad feedback or making you feel sad about something or guilty about something, how many times do we respond with a blessing? It's just that, like, this entire Course in Miracles is like, for me, it's like building a muscle. This is the marathon of the mind. So if we are if we are having progress in this, well, at the level of the mind, we do know that this whole thing works because we have been experiencing it. But in order to be more like quick and fast to see the results, my guess here is that we should always wonder how many times we do use the word God, blessings, and all these concepts in our language, in our communication. The times where, for example, I'm just some past came into my mind with a conflict that I had with my ex-husband, where I was mad at him for something. We were arguing, and then he used the word, you know what? God bless you. And wait, okay. So he used the word God bless you, but he was yelling at me. I mean, he was mad at me and he was like giving me this kind of weird blessing. But I really took it, I mean, like a wake up call when he said that to me. Because he wasn't doing it in the right way. But as I'm a Course in Miracles student, when he said that to me, he gave me like this truly blessing that, okay, I'm in the right mind. Let's go up and see God. So Holy Spirit, and I took the words, I took the content, not the form. And the content was truly a blessing because he helped me to move from fear to love in an instant. So how often do we, during a conflict or a confrontation with somebody, we do let ourselves just surrender the word of God to others? I mean, if you said, well, I'm sorry that you're having this issue, but I really truly hope that God helps us to see the light. Wouldn't be that more easy to find a solution to your conflict?
It does remove some barriers that we set up to make it harder,
Yeah.
for sure.
So that's my sharing, because it has helped me. I wasn't a person who used the word God a lot in its language, in my language. I mean, I thought in the past. I mean, I wasn't a religious person. I did was experiencing things around spirituality, but it never gave me this strong belief that God is, and that I am part of God. I never had any source of information or any source of spiritual practice that gave me that strong sense that yes, this is true. God is, and I am God as well. And as this is becoming stronger inside of me, for me has been easier to let myself move in the language, move my language towards all those concepts. When I started to find this absolutely undeniable truth about God, I start to say it in my house, and my husband and my daughter, well, in this house, from now on in this house, we are going to talk about God. So you will have to get used to it, because I'm going to use that word a lot from now on. And it's funny because it really helps. It really helps when, even if you're mad or somebody is telling you like God bless you in a bad way, it helps you. If you are doing your job with the Course in Miracles, it helps you like to go up again and stop thinking horizontally. So I guess this is like a good way to start approaching to this lesson. My holiness blesses the world, but in order for that to be a practical experience, that should not only happen within your mind, it should happen as well in your expression, in your words, in the way you approach a conflict. Because it is good to have it clear in the mind, but if it's not expressed in some form of language or doing in your reality, you will not have a practical experience that give you the strong belief, because the belief is made out of an experience, not only the knowledge. You need the knowledge to unlock the mind, but you need the experience to have the certainty that this is true. So I wanted to share that as well.
I think I got the flip side of that coin, and I feel like I was in a place with somebody that if I did mention God, it was almost seen as offensive because they didn't believe in God so much. And so maybe it produced an opposite reaction on them, but I still don't have any other pathway out but God leading me out on my own. And so with or without them, sometimes you've got to move on. And I couldn't bring, I don't think, a lot of holiness to that. Or at least the holiness that I brought was as best I could figure out the best way I could. I'd love to hear what somebody else has to say. I've got a little bit more to read, but if anybody else has anything to say, I'll make space for Rosa or Tragana. Go
I
ahead, Janine.
do. Sure. I could feel how this has helped me so much. It just has opened my heart so much. I was in another room yesterday, and a woman was crying in the room, and I just felt like hugging her and holding her. I mean, it was so heartfelt just to feel love for this person who I couldn't even see. Of course, I could see her little picture, but um, yeah, the holiness in me definitely is it blesses the world. Is that what it says? Um, and then I think I mentioned I had an argument with a friend, and then that yesterday morning I called my friend and just instantly when I said and I expressed how sorry I was for what I had said the other day. It was so easy to just send them love and be, and honestly, deeply, you know, just bless him and love him, and he felt it like instantly. It was an instant shift when we are in the space of love and blessing for others. And it's just so, and Lee, you're talking about 50. You don't look 50, at least in your little picture.
I
But
know. I know. I'm lucky. I sure lucky.
my young brother, I have you beat. So definitely I experienced that. It's like, wow, at my age, I'm learning all this stuff that, like, wow, it's like an awakening, and it's so beautiful.
I'm with you.
That's
Never too
for
late, though,
sure.
right?
Yeah, never too late.
Well, I do have something to say about what Lee just said because I have encountered that like barrier as well. That when you are comfortable talking about God and speaking the words like blessings and things like that to other people may seem like not not useful at all, and it can spark another type of conflict. But language is so, I mean, there's so many other words that can imply that without saying God or without saying bless you, that we just need to be creative in that way in order for us
Agreed.
to move the situation from fear to love. There's not always the need to use the word, well, God bless you, and let's ask the Holy
We
Spirit
can
for
silently bless
help.
everybody. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so with for example my ex-husband, I never use those words so like intensively because he's not like in the same kind of approach that I am right now. So I always have to think twice how I'm going to say to him that I'm looking always to the strong sense that family and love can only be expanded, not contracted. Things like that. It's just that we have options always. So we don't need to use specifically the word of God and bless you, but we can say beautiful things as well that remember or resemble something around the concept of God that can help to put the other mind at ease for some kind of solution. So, well, that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I didn't use the words in my example of, God or anything. I felt like seeing my friend from a space of wholeness and holiness, and it was also seeing myself as whole, but seeing himself in a holy way. If that makes sense. Like, I didn't. It was definitely from a different perspective than I would have before, and I wasn't requiring anything from him, anything from me. It was just love in that moment. And it's so hard to put these things into words, but yeah, it was definitely about that. And that's where I found the strength to do that.
Okay, good morning. Namaste, everyone. How is everyone this morning? I am Rosie J, and I do it God's way. I just drop it like it's hot, whether they agree, whether they believe, whatever.
You
Rosa,
got
can you talk to us a little bit closer from your to your mic? It's just
Oh,
that you
I'm
it's so
at a
far.
competition, and we have to wear a mask. So you hear the mask. I'm getting ready to go in the corner. So, I used to never ever talk about God.
Okay. I hear that you're at a competition, but it's almost like we can only hear 10% of your volume. Really
Oh,
can't even barely make it out. I'm so sorry.
okay. Wait a minute.
We
Hold on.
really want to hear what you have to say, though.
Can you hear me better now?
No,
No.
it's
Okay. Well,
like maybe you're talking into the wrong end, or
I
it's
can.
on headset mode instead of speaker mode. Or...
Let me someone else go until I find a quiet
Yes,
place.
ma'am. Thank you, thank you. We will.
She's
Thank you so much. That's so polite of you. Dragana or Luisa or Sanas or anybody else who wants to. And I've still got the notes to read, so I can jump in and do there. But
I see that Joe is raising his hand, and I tried to send him an invite a few moments ago, but he hasn't been
Good
up yet.
morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, my friend.
How are you? I was thinking when you were talking about what you were saying when you were having a discussion with your ex-husband and then he blessed you. I quickly remembered when I am driving and someone gets the devil from me outside. Yeah, like takes my devil out. I will always love smile to him or her and wave instead of naming his mother and all the family behind. I just smile and wave and live in peace. So yeah, that's also more or less blessing when you are angry instead of getting into this discussion. So thank you. I'm loving today's lesson and yesterday lesson. I sent you also a link, Adriana, on WhatsApp from from an explanation of a lesson that you beautifully explained 2 days ago. It was really, really, really beautiful. So thank you.
Well, I just saw. I mean, I just saw the link. I will review it later. But thank you very much. And that is because I mean, well, what you said about the practical example of how of how to move from fear to love in a driving mode. That's because you don't want to fight with anybody. You said it a few lessons ago that everybody who wants to fight with you, well, they will have to just sit and wait because you're not going to get engaged, right?
And it will be boring. I love that part of it.
That
That's
was the
really
word.
stick with
Thank you.
you.
Yeah.
And
All right.
sometimes people wave from another car and they're not using all five fingers. And we can just smile at them anyway.
Yes, exactly. Or you can also wave with one, but waving still. No, 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 no. It's better to wave with the five all open.
So
Rosa,
I'm
are
back.
you? Yeah.
I
Okay.
am back. Can you hear me better?
Well, a little
I,
bit.
I
Yeah,
can
a
hear
little bit.
fine.
Can you
I
hear
can
me
hear
better?
fine.
I just wanted to say, I love the simplicity of every thought. We like to complicate things. We like to make it a special way or say it so the folks won't get hurt and blah, blah, blah. We want to do that. The Course just says, say it. And note that wherever I am blessing. My mere presence blesses the entire space that I'm in, the people that I'm around. And so I don't have to say that out loud. I don't have to offend anybody nor defend who I am and what I believe in. But I used to. I remember, because I'm 68. People have always walked up to me, even when I was a kid, and said, "The Lord told me this about you. The Lord told me that." And I used to look at them and I said, "Well, the Lord ain't told me. So let me wait." You know, I ain't heard none of that. Well, now I hear it, but it was warned to me when I was like 10. Lady walked up to me and say, "Girl, I see God in your life." And I'd be like, I don't even know who God is. I didn't know at that time whether I believed or not, but I did say things. I didn't know whether they were prayer. I remember after my mom passed saying, "God, it's got to get better than this. This can't be all there is to it," because I was so sad. I had to grow up the instant my mother died because I had siblings. And I didn't know what to do. But I've noticed that as I look over my life, God did exactly what I asked for. He gave me a better place. He surrounds me with people like you, even in my personal one. My family was not the lovingest family. They didn't even know how to hug. They didn't have any idea. I don't think I got hugged until I was 21 on my way to St. Thomas. That
Oh,
was
that's
the
such a
first
shame.
time I ever had a hug from anybody, uh, you know. Um, and I was
That's
around my family
heartbreaking.
constant. It was then, but when I came back, I went to St. Thomas Virgin Islands, and St.
Mm.
Thomas and the island people are very touchy, grabby, hugging, kissing. I remember the first time I went down there, I said, are all these people gay? Because I saw men kissing men, women kissing women. I was like, when you go
Mm.
to foreign countries, they don't have any problem. You see this all the time.
Open,
You
loving.
know,
Yeah, yeah,
and here in the United States, it's a total different thing. We have to learn to show love and not be ashamed of it. Learn
yeah.
to not to see it and be and bless it. In my
Yep.
head, when I see people hugging and holding hands, it doesn't matter who's doing it, but I just say, God, thank you for that love. I am a blessing wherever I go, whether I speak it or just be there. And I'm blessing people. My pastor told me this in an argument. She said she met this man and he was insisting upon arguing. And in her head, she shook her head, and the whole time she was shaking her head, she said, "And I bless you too, and I bless you too." At the end of the conversation became more pleasant. See, we create the world that we want by the things we think and the things that we say.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
then nobody has to come on board with that. We have to know that what we do is true, whether we do it out loud. I don't now. I don't find it hard to communicate communicate my feelings about the Creator to anybody. And even if they're Christians and they want to say, "Oh, do you believe in Jesus Christ?" I said, "I believe in all of His teachers. Jesus Christ is one of them. He's not the only one." He even said that in the when you hear other people channeling him. He was only the one of many teachers that have come here to earth to prepare us for this great migration into love. And rest assured, that's the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate goal of all of us, to love unconditionally and be all right with the other person getting there, because we're not all in the same spot. And nobody in the world could have told me at 20, 21, 25, 35 that I would so freely talk about my emotional feeling and my true belief of who God is. It's only through these lessons that I can actually sit around and immediately when something comes to my mind, I hear the course in my head. Oh, I can't be attacked. Person arguing, that's not me. That's not what I am. You have to be confident that this is what you're sure about, the choice that you've made to follow, the goals that you have set in your life. I desire to be only a blessing. And if folks get it crooked, I'm not going to try to change or sugarcoat how I feel. And I'm going to let them feel whatever they feel because they haven't gotten here yet. But rest assured, I truly believe that that's our goal. That's where we're supposed to go. We're supposed to see Eden right here on earth. And Eden is wherever we are. Now, we can choose to be in hell. And a lot
I
of
feel like
people
I'm in
do.
Eden.
But I choose to be a blessing to everything and everybody. And I
You
know
sure are a
that
blessing here. It really is, Rosa. I really
oh,
appreciate it.
you guys bless me because
Mm.
it's about us lifting each other up to the
Yeah.
to the to the truth of who we are and what we're supposed to do. Now, how we do that is up to us. We all got talents, but in everything we do, we should bless everyone around all the time. I don't care if they like, even if they ain't looking like God, even if they ain't acting like God, bless them anyway, because they are God. They just don't
Thank
know
you.
it yet. Thank you
That
for letting me
dovetails
share.
so well with our lesson. I really appreciate it. That was so great. How about I read the notes real quick and we'll get back. Oh, Sanas wanted to say something. Okay. Anybody else has something quick?
Yeah, hi. Yes, I would like to ask here in the room, thank you, Lee, what blessing means to you, or how would you explain blessing? Today I was reading something like, this is like a gift to the spirit from God, which I am a part of, and by my willingness to be open like a vehicle to give this gift from God to that person I am blessing. That was an explanation. I always asked myself. I felt um, uh, I felt always very close to this word blessing without being able to define it. And as today the lesson is about blessing, I would love to hear from you what it means to you if you say I bless that thing or I bless this person. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for asking that. That is a really good question. And I haven't thought about that. And what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, I'd like to read the notes and then I'd love to bring that question back up. I
Yes,
want to make
sure.
sure, sure, but please hold on to it and keep me honest because I definitely will. Actually, Adriana's writing it down on a piece of paper, so I'll make sure we don't forget.
Thank you.
It's the key. There's only 5 words in the title of this lesson. My holiness blesses the world. And I think we definitely have taken more than enough time to define how holiness and wholeness here are really important, but we have not talked about what it really means to bless. Am I a God? Do I get to bless things in the same way that God does? I have no idea, but that is a wonderful question. Okay. I'm going to read the notes and then I'll wrap that up with a good period and then we can get back into that because I think that could be extremely helpful. In order to give, you must possess what you intend to give away. In our outer world, if our outer world is a reflection of our mind's inner world, you must first possess the trait before you can help another obtain that same trait or item, feature in their personality, let's say. To be holy is to see yourself perfect, whole, and complete. This lesson points out that only when you know yourself as a whole will you be free from making counter demands from another for the gifts you claim to provide. Thanks, Tom. That's our blessings. The gifts that we claim and we think and we really know on the inside that we can provide to our brother or sister. Those are the things, if we're not able to give those gifts freely, that we have to clear our own crap out so that we can be holy to others. We can't provide those gifts when we're broken ourselves. So, and I should just keep reading. Tom says, when you fail to see both parties in the relationship as perfect, whole, and complete, you're perceiving lack in both your inner and your outer worlds. Lack, as mentioned in yesterday's note, is ACIM's definition for sin. Because of the ego's belief in lack, the ego's world of perception is seen as both a sinful and fearful place. As long as you perceive that you're not whole, you will perceive needs in both your inner and outer world. When you associate yourself with the body, this world becomes a very needy place. Wow, it sure does. When you associate yourself with the body, or you're just living in the small R reality, the world becomes a very needy place. The world of physicality is utilized by your ego to prove its belief in separation, lack, and fear. The ego uses the world of form to support its belief that you are not whole, not perfect, and completely incomplete. Even when your physical needs have been met, your ego perceives that any gift to another requires a sacrifice on your part. This belief in sacrifice follows from the ego's belief in lack, because the ego perceives the giver and the receiver to be separate, autonomous parties. The ego's world is a zero-sum game. If the receiver is to gain, the giver must lose. To the ego, giving always involves sacrifice. Because the ego believes it has needs, the ego only gives to get. The ego always wants a good deal. It expects some type of payback for any gift that it would give another. And just between you and me, it expects interest too. Only when you see yourself as whole and having no needs will you be willing to bless your world without asking for some type of past or current or future payback in return. You're not blessing another. If you expect something in return for your blessing or your supposed gift, Sam has, there's more of our answer. All right. Your higher self
Yeah.
knows that to give, I knew it would be in here. Your higher self knows that to give is to receive. To the Holy Spirit, your purpose is to bless your world with your holiness, your wholeness, you showing up whole to the world. All right. Your higher self knows that to give is to receive. To the Holy Spirit, your purpose is to bless your world with your holiness. When you realize you are already perfect, whole, and complete, you understand that true giving requires no sacrifice. It's forgiving. No one loses, and everyone can gain their divine inheritance. Both giver and receiver are seen as perfect, whole, and complete. And this signifies the end of your ego's belief in lack, needs, sacrifice, and separation. Everybody is free to reclaim their divine given birthright. Those that see themselves as holy or whole make no demands. They require no payback from anybody. They realize that being holy, they can bless their world without any sacrifice on their part. They understand that when you are part of an indivisible oneness of all that is, that to give is to receive. Hi, Jordan. Welcome. When you bless the world with your holiness, you no longer have to fix, change, control, protect, or impress another, since they are perfect, whole, and complete, like yourself. You can now love them unconditionally. All right, here are the last two questions, and then we'll review. If you can love someone, should you be allowed, or perhaps even required, to fix, change, control, protect, or impress the other party because you love them? And if you can answer that question, then answer this one. How would you define unconditional love? Both sides of the same coin. Thanks, Tom. No, not both sides of the same coin. One of them is a love that is a leeching kind of love, and the other one is like relish on top of your hot dog.
The, the question was about blessing, and when you bless someone, it's important to see the truth about them and to hold a higher vision for that person and to hold the truth that they are perfect, whole, and complete. You aren't really necessarily giving to get anything. Uh, this lesson mentioned the idea that uh, there should be no sacrifice. Here's a question, and we live in a physical world. And can uh, can I share my car with you? Is that a simple question? Can I share my car with you? And actually, the course says that in physicality, or if can I share? Here's different. Can I share a sandwich with you? The course will say that physicality, by its nature, cannot be shared in form. The only thing that we can really and the reason that it says that is because there should be no sacrifice. If I have one sandwich and I give you half, we have one sandwich between the two of us. But it requires some type of quote unquote sacrifice on my part. I had a half. Now you have I had a whole. Now I only have a half. That's some type of sacrifice. Now, uh, the other person in between the two of us, if we're one, we still have one whole sandwich. But uh, sacrifice is not in the cards whenever we're dealing with sharing. So if I give you half of the sandwich, on the form level, I have made a sacrifice, but I may be getting something back in return. I may be getting I am demonstrating what I feel. But form itself cannot be shared. It's something that someone will be required to give up something. So there has to be some idea what can be shared. And the course says that what can be shared is ideas, thoughts. So if I share the idea that I see you as part of myself, or I see you as perfect, whole, and complete, that can be shared, and there's no diminishment on my part. I don't have to lose my own perfect wholeness and completeness to share with you that thought. If you accept that, I actually strengthen that belief in myself and in you. If you reject it, I don't lose anything. So when we share, and this is, this idea of conditional love, we've been taught that conditional love is something that requires me to determine whether or not I've got a decent payback. If the person, and conditional love is the notion that there's something wrong with you and that I need to fix, change, control, protect, or impress you. Might be just that I want to impress you so that you will love me back. But that's conditional love. I'm giving to get. Unconditional love is seeing you perfect, whole, and complete and giving you space and accepting you just the way you are. So, whenever we're blessing, we're giving someone something with nothing in return. But the best blessing is to see someone in their true identity, which is not the game token, in which there may be the appearance of lack, but to see them as indivisible consciousness, perfect, whole, and complete. And when you share that with another, they have the option of accepting it for themselves, which strengthens everybody. Or if they want to see themselves as a SOB, uh, we don't have to change them. We can just allow that, but you hold that higher vision uh, to the other person. And so thoughts, ideas can be shared, and there's no diminishment. And it doesn't require acceptance by the other person. You will still be able to hold that because it comes from within. So
Thank you.
Thank you. I have something to share to address Sana's question as well. Thank you, Tom, because this is really like a complementary information. It's funny because when I see bless, the etymology in English is different from the etymology from Spanish. In Spanish, blessing is bendición, and it comes from Latin, benedictio. And basically it's like two parts, two roots, that is bene, bien, or good, dicere, decir, or saying. So blessing is just saying good things. So blessing doesn't mean like you have to mention God as a word. You are not blessing another if you expect something in return for your blessing or supposed gift. So the only thing you need to do is say good things, because they are all expansion of love. Conditional at the level of the form, conditional love, it's needed, but because we are in duality. So the only way you can have unconditional love is if you constantly train your mind to reach like this higher source of inspiration to make you feel at one. Only within God is where unconditional love is. At the level of the form, you have conditional love, but the only condition that love has is not to be in fear, for the love to be expanded, because the love is always there, and the only thing that we are seeing is just barriers, but the love, it's among everything that you see. So blessing is just saying good things, and conditional love in the level of the form is just a way of saying that you need to be out of fear in order for you to express and perceive the unconditional love that is the truth of all there is. So I hope this helps to complement the questions that San asked, because it was a good one. I mean, I never thought about, well, blessing, what it means blessing, and it is a good way to find out that it's just saying good things.
I have a thought about this also. When we think of ourselves as a light, it's an idea. And if we accept ourselves as a light, then by us shining our light, we can bless others. And it's very simple when you look at it that way, because it doesn't take anything away from you. You share your holiness in this sense of this lesson. You can share it without losing any bit of your own light. And you can help light theirs. And that can be called enlightenment. So when we think of the world, the basic, the most minute, it's not even minute, but the basic element of light, let's call it that. If that's what we're talking about, then you can only share it. It is shared and only shared. There's not even a glimmer, to use the same source of the word, of needing anything back from that. You just want to share your light. That's why you're a light. That's all there is. This is actually a really simple question, and we can all complicate things. But as a light, as an idea, we can share an idea, and it doesn't take anything away from the idea. Someone else gets to use it, so it expands it, if anything. It's really simple, and people like us can sometimes complicate anything if we want to. A blessing is something that makes another person feel good about being in your presence. And again, it may be the little bit of light that you shine on something that they didn't know before, or just the courage of expressing your light. I'm really fond of looking at things as light, elements of light, and so on. And I think that is very close to the idea of the holiness that we
Yeah, it's
talk about.
enlightenment. That is the enlightenment. The constant expression of love. That is enlightenment.
Here's just something in regards to the Course in Miracles says that we don't understand what love is. That and this is, I think, important to realize that we've mistaken conditional love for real love. Here's a definition of what love is. Okay, and when I read this definition, you'll see that it's not what, well, we would find necessarily in Webster's dictionary. It might have some resemblance of it, but bear with me. Love is a noun, is the creative process in which time is utilized to reawaken sleeping minds to their true magnificence as to what they truly are. That's a far cry from what we normally associate with the word love. Love is a verb, is an expression of the willingness to create a space in which something is allowed to change. The something may be a living thing, a non living thing, an idea, event, condition, or circumstance. The change may be in terms of growth, decay, evolution, integration, or other natural development that is in accordance with the intention of the Creator. Conditional love is the belief that love gives you the right or duty to fix, change, control, protect, or impress the object of your love because you claim you love them. Unconditional love is a non judgmental, serene acceptance of the flow of the universe and an unshakable faith in the good intentions of the Creator. Those definitions or those understandings, and that's why the Course says we don't understand what love is. Love is accepting a person just the way they are and giving them space to be on their own perfect path. As Jesus says, if you want to be like me, I will help you. If you want to be different, I will wait until you change your mind. He doesn't say, I have to fix you, that you're wrong, that there's something messed up with you. He just says, I will wait until you are willing to see yourself perfect, whole, and complete. And if you want a hand with that, because we are the same, and I am whole, perfect, whole, and complete, I know you must be perfect, whole, and complete. And now, since you're willing to accept that truth, I can help you. I do not, Jesus does not say, because you think you're limited or that you're a sinner, that I'm going to accept your belief. Jesus holds out the truth of what you really are and say, come up and accept that. And when you're ready, I'll be there. I'll help you. So it's a lot different than what we've been brought up with. Conditional love is always to give, to get. And we're looking for a good deal. And if the person doesn't come up to our standards, then we say, I need to remove that flow of love from you because I need to punish you, or I need to fix you some way. And I'm supposed to give rewards and punishments to manipulate you so that you get it my way, right? Not your way, but my way. So just, I just want to throw that out because, we throw out the word love, and the Course in Miracles says we don't understand what love is because we've been bought into the idea, because we perceive ourselves to be a body, that we must lack, and therefore somehow we need something to make us complete. And we have this notion that I make you whole. You're already whole. All that I do is now see you in that true light. Thank you.
Oh, Tom, that's wonderful. That was beautiful. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for that sharing. Go, Natalie. Good morning.
Good morning. Guys, I struggled with this a couple of weeks ago. So, Tom, Bob, I call y'all TBAL, all of you guys. Okay, so I had, you know how people friend you on social media? A lady friended me and immediately asked me for money. It irked me very badly. And I tried to apply, this is my sister, tried to change how I looked at her. But the fact was, total stranger asked me for money. And I was like, oh, I mean, my ego went nuts with she's from such and such, and that's all they do. This is a scam. I mean, my ego just attacked badly. And I can't say that I mastered this exercise in this because it was hard for me to distinguish between attack, meaning she's a scammer. Why would I give her something knowing? I mean, I went to her profile. I saw she asked other people for money. So it's not like it was hidden. She came up with this, hallmark story of we're in a barn, me and my three kids. And I mean, very good. But I battled. I wanted to show the love of God. I recognize she's my sister, she's part of me. But I could not get over the fact that this is a possible scammer. And she only asked for $5, but still, wasn't like I need 100 or like that. In a situation like that, where you have a practical person here who isn't living a certain way, how do I show that love? Do I just do the normal, I'll pray for you? That doesn't help her. She asked for $5. So it was very hard for me to take ACIM principles in a practical, I mean, really having to apply this in a situation like that. So I didn't master it. 24 hours later, I did give her the money, but it was war in my head. Should I, shouldn't I? Can you guys tell me how to apply today's exercise to a situation? Because who's to say I didn't go to the I won't go to the store and a homeless person is there, and then I begin to judge and perceive incorrectly. So, TBAL, how would you handle this?
I got it. I'll give you my impression. Um, One of the things that we have to sometimes be careful about is we say things like Tom said, um, from one point of view, and it's just our point of view each time. But from there is something that the course identifies, especially the purple book that we read from, A Course in Miracles, as level confusion. And sometimes, for example, Jesus was in the desert on a mountain, and he came up with 500 loaves, 500 fishes, or something like that. Okay, and it didn't bother him a bit. It wasn't. He didn't lose anything because he was able to have that happen. A miracle happened because he was there. Did he do the miracle? Only if you want to define it that way. But we are taking a course in miracles so that we can be, in many cases, just an avenue towards a miracle for someone else in their life. All right. So if I give something to somebody, I give to enable the other person to improve his life. If I give in that way, then it's not so much that I'm losing something, but I'm really helping him improve his life. Then I am still blessing him. It depends upon whether I have enough money in the bank. But how do you figure that out? Well, here's a simplistic way, and it might be too simplistic, but if it's in the whole world of form in any way, if it's three-dimensional, as we talk about, then it can be measured, then you're in the zero sum game already. But if it's an idea that always expands and never loses, then it's a blessing. Now that's the way I look at it. So we can give the person a thought that might help him improve his life. But if he's asking for $5 to get some food today, if that's in fact what's really happening, then we have to simply decide, if that's the last $5 in my wallet today, it might not be the best idea. And so it's that level confusion. It's kind of like a sliding uh, um, marker. You have to make that decision at that particular moment, because without going into a long song and dance, there's level confusion everywhere. When we share our light, our wisdom, our ideas, our thoughts, our love, then there's never a zero-sum game. It's always a blessing to the other person. Some things are shared. If it can't be shared, in other words, if I don't have $10 billion and $5 is certainly not going to make a difference to me, I can do it without, it's not hurting me. It's
Yeah.
infinitesimal. That's my thought.
I have another approach, but it's not like saying that Bob's is not good, it's perfect. It's just that I have another approach because I have experienced that situation that Natalie brought us. That when you encounter it like a homeless person and you hesitate about what is the best way to address that encounter. With A Course in Miracles, I started to be more aware of my feelings when I see homeless people. So, from my own experience, I'm not longer seeing a homeless people. I'm seeing a part of me that is showing me something in that specific moment, and that homeless person is trying to point that out for me to forgive something in my mind. So whenever I approach these kind of encounters, I'm no longer seeing them like somebody separate from me, but it's a part of me. So when I approach him or her, I will no longer do it with this kind of like, yeah, with this kind of fear about the outcome, because whatever I could do for them, even if it's not money, but giving them, it happened to me once in a stoplight. I was in a stoplight, and I just bought a beautiful bread that I found in a bakery, and it smelled delicious. And there was these two people, one in a wheelchair, and they were asking money to all the cars that were passed by. And I did have money in my pocket, but I thought of them like, well, if I was me doing that, I will feel like at this time of the day, I will feel hunger. I will probably will better you good use a bread instead of a coin. And I saw them like, well, they are doing their part of the puzzle, so I'm gonna share what I think is mostly helpful for them in their process. I'm not trying to change their reality because that was their decision to do, their lives, even though they are not in the fault. I mean, it's not like saying, well, they deserve it. No, it's just at the level of the mind and the spirit, they decided to be like that. I'm not. Who am I to say that that is wrong? I'm not. I have no clue what God wants from them in this kind of experiment that we are. No, this is not experiment. It's just that really we don't know what those people truly are in the level of God. I mean, God knows everything and knows what is everything for. So who am I to say that they are in a bad position? So when I saw them, instead of rolling my window and giving them a coin, I offered my bread, and I said, "Well, you know, I did have money, but I did said, well, I don't have money right now, but I do have a good bread here that I want to share with you." And I said that with excitement because I was not longer like feeling they were something different from me. I was thinking of them like, well, if I were doing their job, I will use a very good, I mean, use, I will enjoy better the bread than the coin. And they were so happy. They received the bread and the start. It was like really like I made their day. And I didn't took them out of the streets and I didn't change but I changed their moment. That specific moment I could see in their faces that they feel treated with dignity, with like the sense like I'm being seen. And that's all that a blessing is doing something good, expanding love in some way that it seemed to be to yourself. I mean, if you are having this kind of experiences, all those experiences outside of you are showing you a part of you that you didn't know it existed. So you need to address those situations like if it was with yourself. How would you treat yourself if you were in that condition? And then the answer will come right into your mind with the resources that you have, because you are no longer working on the level of the form, but working in the level of the spirit or the mind. So I hope this helps us as well to
Yeah.
answer Dr. Natalie's curiosity.
Here's another approach. It's not so much what we do, it's why we do it. So if I had that, I see the situation, someone's begging on the street. Okay. There's a couple of ways I can approach it. One is I can say, I know the answer. And my ego already knows the answer. It's going to run my homeless uh, person story in my mind and say, I'm supposed to do this. And it will, and I'll respond according to what the ego says that I should do. The other way is to say, to go within, silence the ego who's going to run the homeless person story, which may be that the person's a panhandler or the person is really in need, whatever my story is to turn it over to the Holy Spirit and ask, what would the Holy Spirit have me do? Now, that's what the Course, and then listen for the answer. But whenever I say it's not so much what we do, it's why we do it. If we are acting out of blame, shame, or guilt, otherwise, if we have doing it out of some type of belief that uh, we have some duty or obligation, and that we're making some type of a sacrifice being that we somehow have some diminishment, or that the other person has something wrong with them, then I'm probably uh, playing part of the ego in our society's blame, shame, and guilt game. The Holy Spirit, if you go and you ask the Holy Spirit and seek guidance, they'll tell you what to do. And whenever you do that and you follow that, which it might be to give that person some money, to offer to take them to they say that they need food, to take them someplace and make sure that they supposedly uh, get the food, as opposed to them say, no, I don't want to go to the McDonald's. I want money. Then you do whatever. But the thing is, if you follow your inner guide and it's the Holy Spirit, your inner peace should be restored, and there should be no feeling of blame, shame, or guilt. And you would have done it out of love. Otherwise, not seeing that person as needy as a spiritual entity, but just requiring, because they have a body, some physical needs to be met, and you do it. But it's always a purpose of why I did it. Did I do it out of blame, shame, guilt, which is forms of uh, fear, or did I do it out of love? How did I act? So that's the important thing, is not what I did, but why I did it. Thank you.
And Tom,
I like to.
yeah, so this is Sean. I totally hear what you're saying, and that's the way I process it as well. Um, after really looking into the observer's eye, what I've noticed is my point in perception when I see a beggar. So if I see a beggar and I see somebody who's down on their luck, maybe they're just having a bad day, or if I see somebody as being dirty, let's start there, and just have this really negative view where they're at, and think, well, they must have asked to be there or something like that, right? I'm in a certain mindset when I'm thinking that way. But if I look at a beggar as someone who's free, someone who doesn't have the wrappings of a house, money, and all of this forced kind of, in a way, a prison. We have to live a certain way to maintain a certain lifestyle, be that get a job, do the circular thing, wake up, go get your job, come back, and it's great that we have something to eat. But for me, what I give up is my freedom of jumping on a train and just going for days, right? And so there are ways that I can see a homeless man, a beggar, as having even a better life than me. And if I can be in that mindset where I see such a positive thing about their life and look at them and treat them with that kind of honor, the whole paradigm changes. They're no longer a homeless person. They're somebody that the world is their home.
Here's a
Offer something.
here's a story that you may or may not. And this is a true story. But there was supposedly a spiritual person walking along with one of his, disciples or whatever, and they came across somebody that was holding out a cup, and the followers, looked and thought, well, this will be interesting. And what he saw was the supposedly holy man going to the cup and taking some money out of it and continuing on his way. The person, his disciples, I can't believe you took money from that beggar. And the holy man said, beggar, I didn't see him as a beggar. I saw him with abundance, and that he was offering me something. And perhaps we don't know how that other person took it, but that other person may have, the one that was supposedly the beggar, may have now had an awakening that he has abundance. Who knows? But that's what the holy man did. He took money out of the person's cup because he saw that person as with abundance, and that's what the Holy Spirit or his guidance told him to do. The other person, his disciple, was shocked by that reaction, but we as an ego think we know the answer. We need to go within and follow that guidance and ask, does that feel right? Am I involved in a blame, shame, guilt game? Am I seeing that person as coming from lack, or are I seeing them whatever? And that's how I think, Sean, you're I certainly agree. I just wanted to share that story because uh, are you giving out of abundance? Are you seeing that person as perfect, whole, and complete? Are you seeing them as something that needs to be fixed? And you're mistaking one of the purposes of the Course in Miracles is to teach us not to mistake the game token we call the body for the holy child of God. Thank you.
Can
I
I
like
ask
to offer
a question?
something.
Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah, Michelle
Yes.
has.
So, what I'd like to offer is that I like to be a blessing to people. Like sometimes if people ask me for money, I would even give them more. I look for people to bless. When homeless people ask me for money, I kind of assess the situation. If I think it's for drugs, I'm like, I'm not committed to destroying you, but I will buy you some food, like that. Also, I also believe whatever we give is going to come back in abundance. And I remember I went to this play one time. It was a spiritual play. I think it was about Jesus, and it was a homeless man outside begging for money. Some people were like giving him money. Some people were just walking by him, and he looked really like a homeless person. But in the actual play, he was Jesus. But nobody knew that he was in a play. And it was just an awesome um, message and eye opening for me. Recently, about a couple of months ago, someone that I know, I didn't know really good that well, but I suspected that this person was a person of honor and integrity in the whole world of that. And they told me a story that was going on in their life, and they needed to borrow some money, and they needed to borrow $1,500. And as I continued to talk to the person, I said, just be straight with me. What exactly do you need? And he said, I don't want to ask you for that much, but I need $4,000. I gave him the $4,000. I mailed it to him in the mail and had the exact address, everything he gave me to a T, and took a picture and I sent it. And he gave me the plan of how he was going to pay me back. A couple of months after that, I called him and we were talking. I mean, I think we talked before that, but it was just a normal conversation. But I said, I'd like to, go over the plan of how you're going to pay me back. He said, what do you mean? I said, my alarm went off. And he said, what money? And normally my ego would have just went crazy, but for some reason I said, okay, have a great day. God bless you. Oh, I don't even know if I said God bless you, but I said something like that. And after I got off the phone, I was like, I shouldn't have did that. But for some reason, I wasn't as uh, angry as I normally would have been in the past. And then I had bronchitis, but I noticed I had, I'm saying this because I wasn't really looking at my mail. And I noticed I had something from the post office. And I went to the post office and said, they sent something to my house. I wasn't feeling well. I know this was a couple of months back. And they was like, we don't have it. It went to Lost Mail, and it's in Atlanta, and you can call this number. Long story short, I got all my money back. And I said, well, what happened? They said, well, we sent it to the place with the address. The person never picked it up. So it came back to the post office. We brought it to your house, but it has to be like certified. And then no one claimed it and stayed here for a little while. Then we sent it to Lost Mail in Atlanta.
So it was already been sent to you, and you didn't feel triggered by the question what money, but it was because he already sent that money to you, right?
No.
Okay. This was another money. I never
No.
got delivered in the first place. Oh my
Yes.
God.
Yes. And then and it went there, but for some reason, whatever the address that he told me to go to send it to, and I took a picture. This is the address, right?
Wow.
And I sent it in money order, so I wrote, his name, and I signed it and everything, just in case. I was trying to protect myself some way. However, they said it went to this location. No one picked it up. So they sent it back to the post office, and they sent it to you. Nobody responded. This was like months, and I just got it back. And then I told him I had to apologize because even though I didn't react, there was still like, he's an asshole. I'm just being I can't believe I did this. All of that was there. And I called him and I said, I really want to apologize to you. I said, the money came back to me. I mean, he later asked, you think you could help me now? But I was like, that spirit's message, like, no, I can't do that now. But
you were all the way being taken care of. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was just like, I just was blown away. I mean, even though I didn't react to him, I was telling my friend I did this, and I
But
can't
it's
believe.
perfect that you didn't react because
I don't
otherwise it
know
will,
why.
but
I have
it
no
was,
idea. That
you
wasn't.
were being guided.
Yes. So that's a perfect example. Like, it's coming back, 100-fold or whatever. I mean, I've never experienced anything like that. It was like a miracle.
That
So
is a
that's
miracle, Michelle. Thanks for sharing. That is such a
yeah.
huge
I
gift
just
you gave
Adrian,
us.
it was a miracle. That is exactly what a miracle is. Because what it teaches us is that we can always course correct. If we're all on a long and winding road, as the Beatles said. And if we make a mistake, okay, but let's learn from it. And the next time we'll stay on the path instead of going off into a rabbit hole and giving away something that we shouldn't give away. That's what enlightenment is. It's not all of a sudden you get this big poof of light and now everything you do is perfect. No, we learn if we want to learn. And that's why we're here. We're taking a course so we can learn that there's always level confusion. Everybody except God experiences level confusion. It's just the way it is because we ain't there yet. But if the road is lightened, if there's light on the road, fine. If not, then we do our best. And if it's like going into a dark room and you have to use your shins to find out where the furniture is and it hurts, okay, next time bring a flashlight. It's the way it is in the world, the real world. We're not trying to say anything here that implies that when you finish this course, you're going to be perfect. It ain't happening. It just doesn't work that way. We learn. Tom says it a million times in almost every lesson. The notes to the lesson. We are here to be learners, not earners. If we earn, fine, in my opinion, but we're here to learn. And we make a mistake, we go on. If we gave out too much money, next time we'll give out less. Maybe next time we won't give any. I doubt that I'm ever going to take money out of a cup.
Cool. Sean.
Unless, as I walk away, I'm looking behind me or I have a mirror because that guy's going to come after me. That's just not prudent.
Thanks, Papa. Go ahead, Sean.
So I'm going to kind of maybe connect to a couple of things here. At the beginning of Eckhart Tolle's book, he says he walks upon a beggar, and the beggar says, "I have nothing," and he says, "You actually have everything." And he goes, "Well, I don't have food, I don't have drink, I have nothing." And the person said, "Look inside the box that you're sitting on." And he looks inside the box and he sees gold. Now, that wasn't actual, in the ground gold. It was a spirit, it was a soul. And that each person, no matter where they're at in life, no matter where they have millions or they have pennies, has the same soul. And that is to be respected when you look at somebody in the eyes, if they're a beggar, if they're not a beggar, if they're yelling at you, if they're loving you. It's the same soul. And some people say that if you can connect to somebody's humanity, that it brings down the ego. But I'm kind of saying that if you connect to something bigger than their humanity, this commonality of us all having a soul, all of us being equal in heaven and under God, and truly understanding that in the way that I see my brothers and sisters, that to me is really peace. And when I see beauty outside of myself and I see that gold in others, that's my responsibility to this world, to uplift it, to see others in a better light than they see themselves, potentially at that time. That to me is enlightenment, and that to me is enlightening others.
Well said, Sean. Well said. It might be time for a meditation now, unless anybody else has something to say.
Yes, I
Yes, I
had
do.
something to say
Go ahead,
to
David. Then
about
next person.
what I've been hearing in the room about the the homeless, or giving to somebody. Should we do that or not? And it made me reflect on my brother-in-law years ago. Um, he was a alcoholic and drug addict. He got locked up and served time. And when he got out of jail, all he had was an orange jumpsuit and a prison ID, and he was still a drunk. And he had to, a part of his release from the halfway house, he had to go and find a job. Um, and he came to me. He said, I'm having a hard time trying to find a job. Nobody wants to, hire an ex-con. And I told him, I said, his name is Herbert Lee. We call him Herbert Lee.
Oh my
I
God.
said, I don't worry, I don't think y'all was
It's all
related.
good.
Lee.
It's all. But blessings to Herbert. But he sounds
Yeah.
sounds hard already. Holy cow, David, keep going.
And so uh, he said that he just couldn't find a job, and and plus he was still drinking and everything. And I said, Herb, what you need to do is you need to stop drinking. You need to change your mind about drinking and change your mind about your condition. You need to see yourself with money. You need to see yourself with a job. But you need to really stop the drinking and stop thinking. You need to change your thought. And
Change that
don't you
stinking
know, like,
thinking. Yeah.
yeah. And so he used to beg on the street, for change to get a drink. And so he had begged on the street, but he said instead of going to get something to drink, the alcohol, he went to the wholesalers and bought some little baby dolls and the little toys and stuff, cigarette lighters, and he sold it on the street. And he
Blessings.
had money. And so he said he took the money back, all the money, and went back to get more stuff. And he sold it. And he said that every time he sold everything, he just went back and bought more. And then the next thing, he had a little table full of stuff. And I saw this. And I said, I said, I said, Herbert, I said, I think you gonna need a bigger table. And so I went on to help him, and got a little bit bigger table to hold the stuff. And one of the vendors has said, they said, little merchandise, little money. Big merchandise, big money. And so I went on and got a vendor's license so that we can set up a table on the street without having to, deal with the authorities, because they'll will tell you,
Yeah,
you
you got to do
can't
it the
do
right
that.
way.
Yeah, you got to do it the right way.
You're helping them do the right way. It's
And
really
so we
hard to
got
do it the right way when you don't have anything.
we got the vendor's license, and then next thing I know, he had a bigger stand, and he was making bigger money, and he was able to buy some new clothes. He bought a car. His whole life changed, and he told me the
Wow.
other day, and this was like about 30 years ago. Let me think.
Wow.
I'm 60. Yeah, about 30
Like,
years ago, and he told me yesterday. He said he thanked me. He thanked
wow.
me. He said, Dave, if it wasn't for you,
Oh, David, what a
nobody
blessing.
cared.
Yeah, man. Good
Nobody
for you,
cared
David.
but you. He said, I never drank the day again after you told me that.
Oh, you were the angel for him. Man, that is fantastic. Good job.
And he's doing great. He's still doing. He got his own apartment. He has car. He can go. He goes out and buy. He sells stuff on the street still, but he sells T-shirts and stuff. He's a vendor, and he has a life, a good life for
What an
himself.
entrepreneur,
I
man.
just
That is
wanted to share
fantastic.
that.
Thank you,
And
David.
I was saying another thing. It's the law of lack. There are a lot of people, even myself, when I was coming up. It was the law of lack that kept us in poverty, and it's the law of substitution. We have to change our thoughts, replace it with something else. These are the laws, that came to mind. And I would say to anybody, use these mental laws. They're there for us. This is what helps bring about the shift in our thinking. This is what draws us to God and Jesus. It unlocks the meaning of what Jesus said for us. But anyway, I just wanted to share that as well. And hopefully somebody else will listen and get something out of it. I don't
Yeah, your holiness bless the world, my friend. There was somebody that wanted to talk at the same time of you, but I didn't saw who was it. I don't know if it
Yes,
was.
it was
Ah,
me.
thank you, Dragana. Okay, your mic.
Yes. I have a question to something that Bob said earlier about the intention of giving. Um, that you need to take care of, yeah, why do you want to give? And to you, Tom, was it Tom that said that if you give out of the intention of blame, shame, or guilt, what does that do? I'm just curious to hear what you say about that.
Sounds like
Oh,
you might have been talking about the second question in the notes, and that really did come from Tom. So you nailed it, but it might have come out of my voice. But I'll read that again real quick. And then I definitely want to make space to do the lesson real quick. So,
thank you.
oh, I believe she was asking about this specific question. If you love someone, should you be allowed, perhaps, or even required to fix, change, control, protect, or impress the other party because you love them? Is that what you were asking, or did I completely misunderstand? Because that could be that I did.
Yes, I think that's what I was asking. I wasn't there all the time when the notes were being read, so I might have missed it. I'm sorry.
No problem. It's almost a sarcastic question, I think. Tom, if I can, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but it's meant to help you see that these are all the ego games for a controlling conditional love. And really, God is only about unconditional love. It's about showing up whole and seeing the other person is completely whole and showing them that that's the real mistake. They're not seeing themselves as a perfect, whole, complete part of God. And because we're looking at lack, we respond from lack. And so let's go in with the eyes of wholeness. That is not my natural reaction. And I have to read this stuff in order to change my knee-jerk reaction, my natural reaction, to put that egoic reaction on the shelf long enough to listen for the truth that comes just a second later. That's how it works
I
for
think
me. Some people get it naturally. Go ahead.
I think that when you look back and you say, when did I feel most loved? I think most people will say, whenever someone accepted me just the way I was. Weren't trying to fix me or change me or anything else. They just accepted me as I am. Now they may end up, you know, assisting or helping someone if they're in trouble, but they accepted them. They met that person where they were, and you know, when we mistake the game token or our physical circumstances for what we truly are, or we feel like, well, one of the things that, it says fix, change, control, protect, or impress. A lot of times people act and they're really looking and saying, I need to impress someone by my good deed. Uh, and they're not really doing it out of love. They're doing it with the idea that now they will have earned someone's some reward. Maybe it could be even in heaven, but they're trying to gain brownie points. And so unconditional love just allows and follows your inner guide. And if you follow your inner guide, you won't feel after it's done that you've been manipulated. You won't feel shame. You won't feel guilt. You won't have any of those things. You'll feel inner peace that you were honoring the principles that you chose to guide your life, and you lived in alignment with those principles. So it's not so much what we do, but why we do it. Fear arises anytime you believe you lack the creative ability to handle a given situation, but it comes out of when we fail to understand what we truly are. We misperceive ourselves to be a body, or we misunderstand why, or not misunderstand, we get the answer why I do something wrong. When I do something because I think I'm getting a reward, then that's not really uh, coming out of wholeness. That's not blessing. You're giving to get. And that's the distinction. So what we do isn't important so much as why we do it. And if we follow the inner guidance, we won't feel blame, shame, or guilt, and we won't necessarily feel when the person we find out later took advantage of me. Otherwise, they uh, were out there and you gave them some money, and they went there and they bought some another drink, like in David's example. Okay, you won't necessarily, you didn't have any attachment when you gave that. You gave that out of love. You didn't give it with the expectation that there was strings attached, that the person didn't have the freedom to go out and buy the drink or buy a hamburger. You do it and you release it. So that's I think the important thing. Why do you do things? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Well, how about we take a moment, take a deep breath here. Let's go through our lesson real quick. To close our eyes for a moment and just repeat these words in your mind. My holiness blesses the world. Okay. When your purpose is to see the world through your own holiness, it signifies the end of sacrifice. Because your holiness offers everyone his full due, or her full due. We come from that place of wholeness. Our brother in the sonship, when we see somebody outside of us, they are us. And so by holding them as whole, it is holding our wholeness back to us as a mirror. That's our birthright as a son or daughter of God. There are 4 exercise periods today. We're going to take care of the first one right now. about 9 o'clock. So the second one should come sometime at around maybe 11, and then one in the early afternoon, another one before you go to sleep. Give yourself this gift today. Come with me and do it. We'll set a reminder at the end. Close your idea. Close your mind. Close your eyes. Keep your mind open. Close your eyes. Remember that your holiness blesses the world. My holiness blesses the world. Now, did I go back a day? No, I'm in the right spot. Okay. My holiness blesses the world. Open your eyes. Whatever your eyes land on, let your holiness envelop that. Say, my holiness blesses that item. Look at the next thing. My holiness blesses that item. What is it? Do this for yourself. Close your eyes. Excuse me, open your eyes. Look around. No, we had our eyes open. Close your eyes. My holiness blesses the world. Let thoughts of people in your life come to you. Look at their face. Say, my holiness blesses them. My holiness blesses the world. Open your eyes. Look around the room. Take items in and apply your holiness there. Your holiness is the salvation of the world. Your holiness lets you teach the world that it's one with you, not by preaching, not by telling, but merely by your quiet recognition that in your holiness are all things blessed, along with you. Your holiness blesses the world. Go ahead, Dad.
Lee,
Wrap
your perfect, imperfect rendition of this lesson recalls to my mind the spirituality of imperfection, because your delivery of this particular lesson was so honest and then funny and then honest, but it made us all laugh and enjoy and really get the lesson. That's the spirituality of imperfection, and it's true love. It's true spirituality, whether perfect or imperfect. All we have to do is keep trying, and we get it. And you gave it to us. Thank you.
I feel greatly rewarded, and all I can say is that I opened my mouth and did my best to read what I saw in front of me. I'm just so grateful it didn't come out a garbled mess. So I will absolutely hold that my holiness blesses the world, because when I don't plan, it seems to work out better. So I can show up here at 6:30 tomorrow morning and go on to the next one. You guys absolutely can keep talking, but I just wanted to be able to wrap us up at 8:30 for people that have to move on. And as we move into the second hour of our Sunday, if it runs as long as it did last week, I'm gonna keep it rolling so that we've got a recording of it. So
I want to say something. It came
sure.
out perfectly. And I just want to acknowledge something that you already know, but I just witnessed the most amazing father that anyone can have. I know you know that already, but when Bob was speaking, I was like, oh my God, I wish my dad was that understanding and so compassionate when I made a mistake, which is at the end not a mistake, but just a funny happening. He would maybe, I don't know, it's never gonna have such a loving reaction. And I just felt for a second like, oh, please adopt me. See?
Yeah, we
I'm
know.
not the only one, you see.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. So that was a bless. That was already like, oh, it was amazing to, I feel so blessed actually to be able to witness such
Thank
a
you, thank you, thank you.
expressions of love. So yeah, I know you
Thank
already know that, but I just want to acknowledge that.
Oh my God, you're absolutely right. It's like I'm underneath a downfall of whipped cream, and my dad deserves all the benefit of it. It's wonderful. Yeah. I don't know why whipped cream. I'm not sure why. It would be a waterfall, but anyway, a rainbow of whipped cream to you, Papa.
And he just licked his finger.
That the adoption list is getting longer and longer. Bob, you have a problem.
especially the Colombians.
And the Colombian, we have to work out something with the Colombian laws in order to be able to be adopted.
Oh my God. You're gonna have to laugh like we laugh, though. I mean, it takes a lot out of you.
And it gives a lot to everyone else.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Well, this was a wonderful lesson today, everybody. I really, really appreciate you being here. We're happy to go back over the lesson, once an hour or so as needed. But you guys can continue to share. I won't pause you, but I will offer that up as well, so we can hold the space.
I didn't hear everything that you said, but that seemed to kill Papa off.
Michelle, we can hear you. We can hear you. Can you please put your mic closer to
Okay,
your
let me turn
voice?
up my speaker.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Thank you. I wanted to say one more thing about, maybe not one more thing, that's a lie. um, in regards to my holiness blesses the world. A couple of weeks ago, I came here with something that I was, dealing with and had anger and frustration and felt that the injustice of her situation. Not saying it was real, but these were my feelings, and my meaning maker machine had all these stories in my mind. And I wanted to get to the bottom of the source of what the story was. So I took it a step further because the situation seemed to be spiraling out of control in my view. And I was suffering, or I don't know yeah, I was just suffering around it. And I got to the point I just, at night, just to give myself peace, listen to spiritual things in my ear, falling asleep on it. And then I just said, you know what, I'm just releasing this into the highest court, the supreme God, the Holy Spirit. And the staff people at the program that I'm involved in, they called a meeting with all of us together. And they asked the young lady who I was coaching what was so. And the other lady was there and all of the world of what I made up. And I was bracing myself. I was like, oh my God, they're going to attack me now. And the woman said, I just missed you. I'm just going to be honest. And she totally came from love and said what was so for her. And she's, basically said that she was acting out around some other things and she apologized for everything. And anyways, everyone had an opportunity to share and it was just really a beautiful thing. And then the staff people um, said thanks for standing for our work, because my thing was like our work is about integrity, authenticity in a world that works for everyone. And I feel this and I feel that. It just totally turned out for the highest good of everybody in the way I would have liked it to turn out. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I really see the whole thing, the upset, the ego controlling me, as a blessing, or not or and uh, a blessing and a lesson to have me just take my time if something like that comes up, because I was like at a place, I just want to quit. And if I had to quit, I thought about what not Tom, Lee's father, I'm sorry, had said one
Bob.
time was at this job. Yeah, Bob, when you were at this job and had you not left, and what the guy said about you, that came to mind. Had I left, I would not have experienced the lesson and the blessing and just all of it, because I run from certain things. Like we was talking about earlier, like the conditions. If I feel like I'm not getting this, that, like I want to just push back. But it was just beautiful, and I just want to thank everybody here that really helped me see things and you know get grounded, because I would have handled it in a different way. So thanks for letting me share. I'm complete.
Thank you, Michelle. That was really on point as well. Thank you for that sharing. Well, I'm gonna hit, yeah. No, I'm gonna let Lee to have the mic now, because I was only trying to say to Michelle that it was something beautiful, that what she shared, and that Bob always have my heart as well, and I had the same experience all over, all over the lessons. I mean, every time. I love Bob and everybody here in this room, but it's really this kind of. It's not like praising him. It's just really being thankful for what you have been doing here and showing us. This is really a good reflection of God. So thank you very much.
Well, I did say that I would help everybody remember to set their timers and their reminders. So if we want to do this 4 times today, we want to make sure that the idea that my holiness blesses the world comes in. Try and set yourself a reminder real quick, or turn on your ACA and remind. And then we'll all get back to it. In between those times, right, before additional separate times where you're going to take 3 to 5 minutes, try and keep this idea in your head so that it can cross your mind if anything kind of upsets your peace. You want to apply this, my holiness blesses the world, to that person using their name, right? When Billy cuts me off in his Jeep, I want to let my holiness bless the world of Billy or whoever gets in my way. The more we help our brothers, the faster we're getting back to heaven. Every single one of them. So, thank you all so much for coming here. Tomorrow I'll be here and I'll read 6, 7, 37. My lucky number. 37. Oh boy. Okay, so that one's going to be amazing. I can't wait. Or is today 37? Yeah, because today's the 6th. Okay, so tomorrow will be 38. I'm sure it'll be one better than 37. 37 plus 1. I turned off the Kindle has my thing for tomorrow, so I can't quickly look at the headline for tomorrow and tell what the lesson is. But somebody else will bring it up, I bet. All right. Anybody else who wants to come up and share, or anybody who's just finding this book, it would be wonderful to hear, if you're just hearing about A Course in Miracles, to hear how it's finding you, or how you want to share how your wholeness and holiness blesses the world. You're all welcome.
you hear me?
Just
Yes.
barely.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So I just wanted to say one more thing that, what we're covering about the beggar kind of sums it up from another teacher, which is when when the way I look at when the way I look at things changes, the things I look at change. And so when I see that beggar as an amazing spirit, I lift the spirituality up around me and the people, regardless of conversation, in a smile or just in a sense. And I feel like that's my spiritual responsibility to this world. And for what it's worth, if you really want to help out a homeless person, 9 times out of 10, what they need is fresh socks, not money.
Practical. Thank you.
I have something to add, share. I missed some of the conversation, unfortunately, because I have to get ready to leave soon. But what came across is relationships. And I've definitely experienced a shift with this lesson today. And I love the example about the homeless person and applying this to real world problems. Um, then it starts to get sticky. I started thinking about a relative of mine who has been loyal to her partner, I think since her 20s, they've been together. And now they're in their 60s together. And at that time, they weren't married, but she's always been faithful and loyal to him. And throughout the course of their relationship, I believe he's had probably, I think, at least 6 children from other, women. And
Wow.
yeah. So, but she has been steadfast. She loves that man, and they are together now. Um, and other family members always have something to say about it. Oh, I don't know how she's with him. What is she doing? Why? And from the outside, there's judgment. And she's a very spiritual woman, and I know she has unconditional love for him. And in looking at examples of that, um, and I know that we can love unconditionally, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to have a person in our space necessarily, I believe, because we have the ability or the right to create for ourselves the world we want to see. I know that, but thinking of personal examples and relationships, we as human beings in the 3D world, we have expectations that we are dealing with on a day to day level. And that's always interesting to put to task these lessons in real world examples and just thinking, well, if this person does that or if this happens, I'm no longer available for, blah, blah, blah is often the conversation. Um, so, yeah, that just comes to mind. And I wonder how others have dealt with that with relationship. I know I'm still learning that when I'm presented, I've been putting it to practice. And it's a challenge, I find. It's a real challenge. And because we want, for example, a partner to, you know, if we're doing, X, Y, Z. I think somebody, maybe it was Lee, you talked about dishes one time. If I do the dishes, 50 times, then you should at least be doing it a couple of times or a few times, or I don't know, 20 times. I don't know. And I'm still working on those challenges. So, and of course, to love the person
Yeah.
unconditionally in those moments. And that's the challenge. And to,
I'm with you one
Oh.
step at a time.
I have to depart. I just want to send love to everyone
Thank
and
you.
thank you so, so much for today. You guys are my
Jean,
family.
that was perfect. That was really perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful day, everyone.
I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for coming. We'll be here tomorrow morning. Hi, Celia. Welcome to the party. Just kind of letting it close.
Have a great day, everyone. Lee, quick question: did you and Adriana connect? Is you there or?
Yeah, she's real close. You're
Well,
you're
awesome.
clearly not looking at the stream because we're in the same room.
Ah, awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, I just wanted to know.
No problem. Are you
Welcome
still in
to
Boston?
Boston. No, I'm in LA.
Okay, you're lucky because
Came
the
back on
ice
Wednesday.
storm, this ice storm Landon that came through actually pushed her flights up. She was going to come and fly up on Friday, but she had to fly in on Wednesday instead.
Ah,
Or was it Tuesday? Yeah, it was Tuesday. My God. Yeah. So Landon actually made her come earlier and have fewer stops.
ah,
Landon is coincidentally my first initial and everything but one letter out of my last name.
ah. Well, welcome, 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 welcome.
I hope you enjoy California.
Well, you all have a fabulous day. Thank you so much for everything. God bless.
Blessings to you all.
So love and light to everyone, and make a wonderful day. And these lessons are wonderful,
Yes,
wonderful.
David, thank you so much, man. I would love to give your brother a handshake, man. I'm so happy at how it turned out for him. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, it's a blessing. And like it says in the lesson, my holiness blesses the world.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Keep that in your mind, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful day. My holiness blesses the world.
Dos oruguitas enamoradas pasan sus noches y madrugadas